motion for the minutes for the March 14th, 2023 meeting. I don't know if you have, could you get her a packet?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, my bad, thank you, a second.
Yeah.
Seeing that you wasn't here last year,
Yeah.
I'm gonna make the motion.
She can second. Can I second?
All in favor, aye.
Just a few of us, right?
So we approved that, okay?
Yep.
So we want to review the draft audit, Tom Zuber and John
Brinkowitz.
Brinkowitz,
I'll
right?
talk saying that 5 times quick.
You were here last year.
I was.
Yes, okay. I should remember the name. Apologize. But they're gonna review the draft audit for us.
All right, John's gonna hand out the information. I don't think it was able to get out to you yesterday. There is a lot of good information in the audit report. So John's gonna give you a couple different reports. Basically an executive summary, summarizing kind of what's in the audit report. You actually will have the basic financial statements, so the draft of the audit, internal control communication with no findings, and a letter of communication, and then a single audit, which is something new this year for you folks, because as you know, you've got this great new microloan program that you're working with the county on, where you received some of the federal stimulus monies, the ARPA program. So pretty substantial program that you folks had. And because of the connection with the federal government, the feds say you have to do some additional work over that specific program. Okay, so there's a threshold, $750,000, and you exceeded that threshold. So we have to do the single audit. Okay, and part of that process is really looking at the policies and procedures and how they're aligned with your contract and the contract with the county, and then how they're aligned with the federal compliance requirements. So the federal government has a great big document that talks about different compliance requirements, things like allowable costs, unallowable costs, cash management, things of that nature, with financial reporting. So we have to look at a lot of different things when it comes to the single audit. And the ARPA money, a lot of folks are paying a significant amount of attention to that. So, we did review with the attorney, or have the organization review with your attorney, your policies relating to purchasing and your conflict of interest, to make sure they were in compliance with the contract with the county, because it was very specific information in that contract that talked about compliance, your policies and procedures being in compliance with the federal regulations. Okay, so your attorney did take a look at that and confirm that all of those are in compliance. So that's very, very positive. So again, no findings in those reports. So that's, again, very good.
Just a quick question. Why is it called a single audit?
That is a very good question. I think it's a random term. I think it more has to do with a...
Why do they call it a single audit?
Okay.
Yeah, and I think it has more of a do that you're isolating a single program,
Okay.
or
Single
a series
purpose or
of,
something like that, right?
like a single, something in that,
Okay.
that kind of
It
line.
just seems funny. But
Yeah.
when you say that, it makes sense. But then
It's a standard term in the accounting.
In the industry,
In
yeah.
the accounting space,
Yeah.
like once you get over 750 in funds, but it's so standard.
Yeah, it's like a basic financial statement.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
single audit. So,
Yeah.
so anyways, so that's a couple of the items. But John's going to walk through the executive summary, which again is the key information in the basic financial statement. Of course, if you have any questions, feel free to ask on that. Okay.
Great. So you all have copies of all the reports and the executive summary, and again, ask me questions on any of those things. I'm going to walk you through the executive summary just to kind of touch on the audit a little bit. The audit went very smoothly again this year. The folks here, your team here does a great job of making time and space available for us to get in, get the information we need. The team over at Bonadeo, same thing. We asked for a lot of documentation, as Tom mentioned, with the single audit and the federal audit. A lot more documentation this year, and the team did very good at helping us get through things. You do have draft financials right now. We are still waiting for a couple of things, some information on the bonds, which is every year kind of just delays because you have to get information out from the folks that have those bonds outstanding before that can get completed. Also, you have a investment in Trillium Company, and we have to get their K1 statement to just kind of finalize that. So, so not anticipating any adjustments unless something big on that K1 statement comes back suggesting anything needs to be adjusted. But just so you know, that's why we're in a draft form right now, and that's consistent with how this we see it year to year. But the executive summary, to walk you through, so the first page, so the statement of net position, your balance sheet, and we have comparative amounts here, so we can see where things were last year compared to where they were this year, and we do identify some highlights at the bottom, and I'll just kind of touch on some of those things. So where we see some big variances and activity to pay attention to. Cash and cash equivalents and the investments, you see a big shift here. So the IDC has made some purchases of some U.S. Treasuries to take advantage of the better interest rates that you're getting this year. So in accordance with your investment policy, you're able to do that. And that's just where you kind of see that shift in those dollars. So nothing major there. Your receivable, this has to do with the ARPA program. So you make drawdowns, you're issuing the loans first and then requesting the money from the county after the fact. So that's really what those dollars relate to. I do talk about the loans receivable number because we now have two components here. We have your existing revolving loan program and now the new micro loan program. And the existing revolving loans are current and making payments. No new loans issued this year, but the micro loans, you had 16 loans that you issued this year for $735,000. You are estimating an allowance against that, and that was discussed with, I believe, the Finance Committee, determined to put a 15% allowance. So just based on the nature of those loans, the companies you're loaning to, it's such a new program, chance that some of those monies won't be collected. So they're estimating about 15%, and they'll probably, as the loan program progresses, you'll get more information on that allowance. But just so you know, that's how that number comes together. Okay. Liabilities, really the shift here was just due to the payment of the Monroe County contract that you have. You have a management agreement with them that you pay each year. Just didn't get paid till after year end last year. That's why you see kind of a shift in those balances. So nothing too major there. The restricted balance has to do with one of your loan programs. It's state funded. These GAIN loans, which are agricultural type loans, requires you to restrict those funds during the loan period. So those amounts sit as a restricted balance. But otherwise, your net position increased about $1 million, almost nearly 1.1 million this year. Okay, and we'll talk about how what makes that up on the next page. But before I do, any questions on the income or on the balance sheet?
No, it's good for me.
As well. Thank you.
Good. Great. Okay, so next page, nice big title, summarized revenues, expenses, changes in net position, your income statement, right? Okay, and just going down through, and again, we have comparative amounts here. Bond fee income, you had a very large bond with the U of R issued this year, so a sizable fee there, $795,000 collected for that bond fee this year. So you had two bond fees, but the U of R one's the main story there, so a very large one. And that'll shift year to year based on what the activity is and the demand for those things.
Where's the $795?
Oh, it's, sorry, it's a piece of the $924,000 bond fee income at the very top, okay? Interest in investment dividend income, this is up quite a bit. Again, it's based on your availability of higher interest rates. Most of your investments are either demand deposits or now this year in U.S. Treasuries. So interest rates being up, that's where you start making a lot more money. This number does include just the accounting for investments, includes making or marking your U.S. Treasuries up to market value, so there's an increase related to market value in that as well. Otherwise, it's really interest that you collected from your investments.
Quick question. The interest from the loans, is that under fees?
I believe it's in this.
The interest on the revolving loan fund or
Like
the,
the SBA loans, any loans?
yeah, they're included in that number. So it's like 113 was, I would say, the interest earned on the treasuries, and then about another 57 or so, if my math is right, is the.
Okay, so it's in the 170.
It's in the 170, yes.
Yep. Okay, and then micro loan grants. So again, new program this year. It's funding from the county. 837,735 of that is the funding of the loans that went out, and another 103,000 is the reimbursement for expenses related to that, including you have a couple of new employees, underwriters, who are managing those loans, reviewing the applications and recommending approval. So their salaries are probably the biggest component of those expenses that are being reimbursed. And if we look in the expense section, that's where you see your biggest change in expenses is really the salaries for the new folks that are in there. Okay, last year includes an adjustment for your investments. That's what that 74,000. We do talk about that here down in the financial highlights. So you wrote off your old Laser Max investment, and then also made an adjustment to the investment in Trillium Properties, and no adjustment yet this year. So okay on those, but overall, again, just a lot of additional income this year, especially from the bonds. You have a operating income this year of $1 million. So the IDC ended in pretty good financial condition this year at nearly $7.6 million of fund balance.
Yeah, and you just have to be careful when you look at that $7.5 million, $7.6 million fund balance, right? That's not all available per se, right? Because you have loans that are already out there, right? So you have to keep that in mind, that of that 7.4 million, you have a little over 2.3 million loaned out, right? So it's not cash available to spend or anything like that, okay?
Okay, sorry, another question. On the operating loss comparison and then the variance, if it went from a negative 600,000 to a positive $1 million, is that a $1.6 million variance?
Yeah, that's probably, yeah, it would be closer to 1.6. Must be a formula error in there.
Yeah, but overall, the current year went up a little over $1 million, right?
Yeah, the bottom number's right, the 1076, just
Right.
that number above it, that's probably a formula.
All right. Couple other things just to talk about, as Tom mentioned, the single audit and the additional amount of work we did, you know.
Let's go back for just a minute.
Yep, go ahead.
What was your point there, Tony?
Well, the change. If you were at if you lost 600,000 and then you made $1 million, your improvement was 1.6 million. You improved 600,000 to get to 0, and then you improved $1 million to get to the $1 million. Probably just because that 22 was a negative.
So the bottom number where it's 107,643 is the right number, just the 615 isn't calculating correctly based on a formula error. But if you take 16 or 17 less the 600, it gives you to the 1,076,000, which is the right number.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, and any other questions on the statements?
No, the summary is,
And as Tom mentioned, the single audit, so we got through that and a lot of extra work, again, had to deal with the federal requirements beyond all the requirements you already deal with. And we're able to issue a report without findings or question costs, which is perfect. And for that, you also have a letter of communication that's just required by our auditing standards that we issue the second letter. And it just talks about the audit and whether there were any material findings or disagreements with management and going through the audit or anything like that. And there were no significant issues that are being reported in that. No disagreements, no uncorrected misstatements. Okay.
any questions? Joe, I know that you came just a little late. You got any?
No, I looked at what Robin had sent over ahead of time, and it all made sense to me. I will just say I'm glad the Veos are back, because otherwise I still wouldn't be here. I was in my office and Anna texted me and I hopped on one of those scooters and got right over
my
here.
God.
That's cool. I think you might be the first MCIDC board member to take a
Right?
motorized
I'm a big
scooter.
user of them. I tried to buy my own, but I'm too big for the ones that are affordable, so I just use these ones.
So we need a motion to recommend to the full board to accept this 2023 audit as presented.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
So that carries. Barry, you next?
Yeah, so the next item on the agenda is just the audit charter. We're not recommending any changes from prior years.
Maybe it'll come next week.
So we just,
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
so if no one has any suggestions, then we'd recommend that the audit committee charter be approved.
We need a motion.
Yes, please.
Motion or second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The next items on here are the policies and procedures. No changes are being recommended to any of these policies. Code of ethics, internal controls, the SBA version of the internal controls, and then the whistleblower policy.
Need a motion?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now, review the audit committee self-evaluation. Is that in the packet then?
So it's not, because they didn't fill it out because they weren't on the committee last year, so you're the only one that filled it out, and yours was all good.
Okay.
So I figured I would just tell everyone it's all good.
Okay, so we reviewed that. It's good.
I can still send copies if you want to actually, I probably should have done this. So you can see what the questions are, and you'll do it next year.
That'd be great.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Actually, I have a copy. I have one copy.
So can we have a motion to adjourn? That's it?
Yep.
Okay.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Joe and Brittany, there's lunch, help yourselves.
Delicious too, they've got so many varieties of it.
So, yeah, I think
I'm only
you're
low.
only on loan and audit, so
Okay. So,
you're welcome to stay, they're for
oh,
everyone.
but there's no loan today.
No.
Okay, perfect. I'll head
Oh,
out.
sorry.
No, I'm good. No, I had looked at my calendar before I went to a meeting and then was like, all right, I'm gonna get back, grab lunch, leave the office at 11:45 and get here at noon. And then I got your text and was like, well, I screwed up.
Did you,
My fingerprints
did you
will be
figure
done
that
tomorrow.
out? Okay, good.
I'll have to figure out the receipt, but if I don't, I'm not too concerned about it.
Well, I didn't know you guys got, yeah.
I know.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh,
How you
absolutely.
doing?
I didn't know you
Yeah,
guys, that there was
I don't know
a
if
fee.
you